Hey guys, Billy here. I'm a multi-gladiator hunter and a shuffle rank 1. This video is high-rated 3's jungle gameplay with commentary. And the commentary is about what I'm doing in the games. I hope you enjoy, and if you do, then please comment, like, and subscribe, and if you didn't, well, pretend you did. Feel free to join my Discord and check out my stream. I hope you enjoy the video. For this first game, we're against the comp called Pirate, which is Outlaw Rogue with a Warrior, and they have a Resto Shaman healer. So our main target here is going to be the Fury Warrior. So as you see, the gate's open and we're just going in. Our healer gets sapped, so we decide not to open. The reason for this is we don't really want them to get any extra damage, and they do an opener on our healer. I then stun into trap on the Shaman, and we do a counter go onto the Warrior. I decide not to trinket my pets here as I have Beast to Wrath, so I don't need to trinket to get them out of the CC. I get cheap shot by the Rogue, but again I'm not going to trinket just because we're not going to kill here, so I don't really want to waste my trinket, as potentially I could be a kill target for them. As you can see now, I'm going over to stand on the Shaman. The reason I want to stand on the Shaman is because it makes it much easier to get stuff like grounding, it makes it much easier to trap as well. So here, he knocks me away and I land the trap on him. It's quite lucky to get this trap because he did use the jump to get away from it, but the trap still landed. My healer here pushes in to get a fear, we get a full fear onto the Shaman, but the Warrior does manage to use his Burst Berserker Shout to remove the fear. The Shaman's just fake casting Hex here. I decided not to kick it because if I give him precog, then it allows him to stabilize much easier. I'm just holding my kick, and this makes it much harder for the Shaman to know when he needs to press buttons. So yeah, like in general, holding kick isn't a bad thing. Here I've got my stun trap, and we've got damage onto the Warrior. I stun the Shaman into a full trap, and we're just doing some damage onto the Warrior. He does get very low here, and this means that we get the Shaman's trinket. My priest is getting trained again, so I use Raw Sacrifice on him, and the Shaman is still trying to fake cast a heal. The reason I'm not kicking is because I want to make him as uncertain as I can for when he needs to cast, as I'll be able to save my kick and then kick an important spell which could land the kill. I did want to kick this spell, but because I got gripped I was too far away, but it was a good grip because I was very low health. Here I land a full trap onto the Shaman and just doing damage to the Warrior, and you'll notice by my position that I'm trying to stay far away from them as possible so I don't get cleaved, and I'm stacking onto the Shaman so that I can get traps much easier. Here the Shaman still hasn't casted, so I haven't needed to kick, but we are able to land a kill on the Warrior, and therefore win the game. This game we're against a Mirror, which is a jungle, so our main target here is going to be the Feral. The reason for this is we want to stop as many clones as possible, and going the Hunter doesn't really stop that much damage anyway. So we want to try and go fairly quickly, but we see that they've got Bloodlust, so we're just waiting for the 20 seconds. Because you don't really want to open when they have Bloodlust, because we don't have it, because I'm playing Chimeral Sting instead of Kindred. So yeah, they would have an advantage in this opener anyway. So in general, when you see this, you should just wait for the Bloodlust unless you can purge it off on all targets. So searching for the Hunter and the Feral, I can see that the Hunter's put a trap down, and I'm thinking about opening on the Priest shortly. The reason for this is we just want to go quickly, but my Feral does manage to find the Hunter. Now, stun the Priest, and I get stunned by the Feral. Looking back, I should have trinketed this as it would have made it much easier to get the trap, but I just scat the trap instead. This isn't too bad, but it would have been much better if I actually just trinketed and sent the trap instantly. Now I'm just doing damage onto both targets equally, even though our main target is still the Feral. The reason for this is we want to try and force the disc to use cooldowns on both of them, as if a disc has to use a pain step on the Hunter, then we have a very big advantage and can probably kill the Feral before they kill us. Here I use a binding shot, the disc fades and walks out of it. I get feared, I trinket offensively so that I can keep the pressure up, and then I trap. The reason I don't need to bait death here is because I'm playing Diamond Ice, and even if he deaths it, it still won't break because of the Diamond Ice. The Feral on the enemy team gets a good clone on our healer here, but my Feral is able to stay alive and we are able to keep our Priest trinket. I scatter the Hunter here just to reduce a little bit of overall damage, and I kick the healer. Now the enemy Feral is low, so we get a stun on him, and I get a stun on the Priest as soon as I have Int him back, followed up by a trap, and this gets his trinket. At this point we're doing pretty well and we're far ahead because they don't really have that many defensive cooldowns left, whereas we still have a Priest trinket and a swap as well as a pain sub. So here I kick the Priest to stop the ultimate penitence, but we do miss the kick on the Feral, which allows him to get a clone on the Priest. However, my Feral is able to get a clone on the Hunter. So this is a trade, and neither team is really going to need to use too much here. You'll notice that we're doing goes on DR. This is very important as both teams win by getting as much tempo as possible. Here the Priest fades my binding shot, and I follow it up by trapping him, because he doesn't have fade, so I can just throw the trap. The enemy Feral gets very low here, and we get the life swap from the Priest. And you'll notice I'm far away from the Hunter. The reason I'm far away from the Hunter is I don't want to get scattered, but I do get feared, which isn't great here. I also missed my kick on the priest, which wasn't good. Here I get bashed, and we want to push in as we know that we have the advantage of the pressure here. So stun into trap on the healer, scatter on the hunter, and now I'm just doing damage to the feral. The feral has trinket coming back, and I know that I can run on the priest here because he doesn't have a fear. But now they've got their incarn back. Second incarn in jungle is where both teams are going to be trying to win. So I noticed that my pet gets very low here, so I use Exil to heal it. You do not want your pet dying at this point, because if it does, you lose a lot of pressure, and you'll probably have to trade turtle to get it back out anyway. Here I silence the priest, and then go up to him and land the trap. The enemy priest has trinket coming back now anyway, so he uses it, and we get the feral's trinket as well. My pet did die here, which is really bad as we lose a lot of pressure because of this, and I had to turtle to get it back. I also cancelled the turtle, but they didn't have any way to stop it. My feral uses the bash on the priest here, and I scatter the hunter. At this point, both teams are fairly low on cooldowns, kick the feral on the clone, and I get feared here. My priest is able to dispel me, and I'm able to keep doing damage to the enemy feral. Get a full trap onto the priest. I stun the feral to stop the clone, my feral also kicks it, and we are able to land a kill onto the feral here. So for this game we're against PHP, which is Ret Hunter with a disc, and our main target is going to be the hunter, but later in the game we can swap to the Ret. Like the targeting here doesn't matter as much. You just need to pick one target and then swap on cooldowns, and eventually you should be able to kill. But this is a fairly difficult matchup for jungle, just because Ret has a lot of defensive cooldowns, and Hunter, if they kite well, can be really, really difficult to kill. So as you can see, we're waiting for the Hunter to come out, and I'm just getting some damage onto the Ret, making sure that my pet won't die at the same time as well, so I just put a men pet on him. And now the Ret pushes in a bit, so I kite him, get knocked by the Hunter, and then go onto the hunter as soon as he comes out of stealth. The priest fades here, I stun, the Ret sanks it, and I miss the trap. I should have just waited for this, but I was able to get the scatter afterwards anyway, so it wasn't the end of the world. Our priest barriers here before the trap, which is really, really good. And now we're just doing damage onto the hunter and the Ret combined. Hunter uses freedom, I use Ross on my feral to stop some of the damage, and Hunter's dropping very low here. My priest gets a fear on the priest as well, and they don't have any sank, so he can't get out of it. Here I get scattered, my feral uses bash on the priest. I wait with the trap because again they don't have sank, so I wait the most, we get the most possible CC. This gets the priest trinket and his ultimate penitence, but I end up kicking it. And the hunter gets very low, we get lay on hands, we get swap, and we get the turtle from the hunter. The enemy priest is now going to try and fear my priest, but he instead uses ultimate penitence to keep his team stable. And I should have been a little bit further away here so that I didn't take too much damage. Or I didn't get feared, but I did get feared, I should have been further away. We get clone onto the priest here, and we get the Ret's bubble, which is indeed. Now I land a trap onto the priest, the Ret is fairly low, and we are still killing the hunter, but I think we probably should have killed the Ret here. But yeah, looking back is much easier than in the game. And now I'm hitting the Ret still, and the hunter's also very low, and the priest, but we can't really kill the priest. So now just hitting the Ret, and we decide to swap back to the hunter because the Ret stabilizes a bit. I see that I have a trap in 5 seconds, and I also have binding shot coming up as well. So I put the binding shot down and then get a trap onto the priest. Now just doing damage onto the hunter. I wanted to trinket this, but I didn't have it. Get a sack from the Ret. And at this point they're starting to recover a little bit, so we just need to play aggressive and keep the pressure. I give the priest precog by accident, but he does fake cast his penance, so he does lose quite a bit of healing from this anyway. I used sack on myself because I thought they were going to kill me, but they were killing my feral, so I should have used it on him. My feral's having to cut a little bit here as he's fairly low. I stun the priest to stop the fear onto my priest and then follow up with a full trap, and we get the hunter's wall here. So we also get Roar of Sacrifice. Again, I fake the priest. He is cancelling his penance to do this, so it's not that bad, but I should have learned this by now and not actually kicked him. Get a silence onto the priest, and we get his last paints up. I binding shot him, which gets sanked, and we are able to land a kill on the hunter here. He was going to try and fear my priest out of the trap, but my priest could also have faded this and then feared the priest as well. This game we're facing jungle again, and our target is still going to be the feral. So we want to do as much damage as we can in the goes, and we see that they are using Bloodlust to get the Bloodlust pets, so we normally delay our opener. So I'm just waiting here. My priest is 1v1 in the other priest, but they open, so we open on the hunter as well. I stun the priest and throw the trap instantly. The reason I do this is because I thought the feral was going to stun me. He trinkets and stuns me. And now I'm going to keep doing damage to the hunter through Ross, and I'll kick the cyclone onto the feral here, but me and my feral both kicked, so we did give him precog. At this point we're both quite low, so I use Exil to keep my pet alive, and I just keep doing damage to the hunter and feral. Now, running over to the priest, use a binding shot on him, and he gets penitence off. I haven't trapped yet because I didn't have time before the penitence, and if you trap into penitence then it just immunes it. He fades, and then after this I trap him. My feral is very low, so we have to do a counter go. I kick the clone on the feral, and now just staying by the priest. We get a clone on the hunter as well, and he trinkets, and we should be able to regain quite a lot of health here. My priest lines the clone and then gets an ultimate penitence off, and now they're on the back foot. I have stun coming up, so I'm just sitting on the priest. I root him, then he fades, I then stun, and trinket his fear, and then into a full trap. Now we get the priest trinket and the hunter's Ross here. I hit the priest, but I probably could have saved this for the hunter, but again, it's not the end. The feral, sorry, but it's not the end of the world. Now I get binding shot. The reason I'm not moving out this binding shot is because I don't want to get stunned, as I know that I have a go soon, and I don't have trinket. So I see my stuns on the priest, followed up by a binding shot into a full trap, into a scatter and then a trap. I could have just trapped here, but I decided to scatter first. I'm not sure as to why. Trapping would have been better. My feral does get a clone here because of the precog, and yeah, now I get stunned. They're going to go on me, but I did pre-wall it, so it's not too bad. Now we're just doing some damage. The enemy feral is lining, so I try and chase him. We get a stun onto him, and he gets gripped by the priest. The enemy hunter is now in a fear as well. I see that I can stun trap the priest now, so I stun trap the priest, and the feral is lining, but I am able to connect and continue doing some damage to him. But he is kiting very, very well here. I'll stop this clone onto the priest, or try to stop it, but I give him precog, which is bad. I should have just waited and not given him precog. Now we get a counter go. I get feared on my burst, which is not good because my pet is also low and it could die here. We do a lot of damage, so this is Incarn, and we get the priest swap into a silence, into binary shot, into a trap. They don't have a trinket, so we are able to land a kill on the feral here. This game was kind of messy from me, as we gave slightly too many precogs to the feral, but overall we are able to win the game. Okay, so finally for this video, we are against a Thunder, which is a Resto druid with an Ellie Shaman and a Fury warrior. So our main target here is going to be the Ellie Shaman, but because it's Resto druid, they have very strong single target healing, so we're going to want to swap between when one target has full hots or an Iron Bark. So we're starting on the Ellie. I kick the Resto druid instantly, I get charged by the warrior, then I stun the Resto druid. The reason I don't trap out of this is because there's a wall banner and a grounding. Both of these can stop the traps or make it shorter, so it's just good to wait and kill them before you try and trap. So now get the trap onto the druid, and I'm doing big damage to the Ellie Shaman. They're popping cooldowns here, so I'm staying far away in order to not get cleaved with my feral. The warrior is charging me and they are hitting my pet a bit, therefore I use Exil just to keep it alive. Saving my kick for clone, as that's going to be their main CC on my healer, so we just need to make sure that we kick the clones, or at least have some way to stop them. I kick this clone here, and my priest is able to top my feral, and as you can see, I'm just running over to the druid. They use grounding, so again I can't trap just yet, so I decide to scatter and then follow up with the trap. The shaman uses barrow here, and the warriors use die by the sword, so we're doing pretty well in terms of pressure. We get tremor out of the way, and we're just keeping up the damage. Get a stun onto the shaman, and I follow up by a DR stun onto the druid. The reason I DR stun this is because I wanted to get his trinket, as I thought we might be able to kill here. But unfortunately he doesn't trinket and he is able to top his team. So now he's stunned DR, but hopefully I can get a trap without it. So I'm just slowing him and following him because he wants to try and trap here. So when he wants to clone, sorry, not trap, I want to trap. He wants to try and clone, so if I can trap him while he's casting the clone, it's really, really good. He stands still, I managed to land the trap, and we're just doing damage. We're also getting the Iron Bark onto the Shaman. Get a stun onto the Shaman as well, and I'm just doing damage. Also using Trench Shot on cooldown to try and get rid of as many hots as I can, just to make the rest of the druid run out of mana. I kick the druid now because the shaman was fairly low. We get the war banner, and I'm chasing the shaman while the druid is still trying to recover. He's in tree form, so right now we're not going to be able to kill, as in tree form they have a lot of healing. He's trying to cast clone, but I have stun and trap coming off cooldown, and he's not on DR. So I'm going to be able to stun him into trap soon, when my feral can connect. So now I stun into trap. The reason I waited for the shaman to be stunned was because when he's stunned he can't use grounding. I kicked this hex, but my feral kicked it as well. We should have communicated this, but it's not the end of the world. And we do get the wall from the Shaman. So this is really, really good at this point, and we get a clone onto the druid, because I've only just popped cooldowns now. So my cooldowns will be up for the entire time when his wall isn't up. So I'll be able to do the max damage that I can. We get a kick onto this clone from the Resto druid, and I'm able to trap him on the recast of the clone. Now doing big damage to the Shaman, we get a bash onto the druid, try and force more cooldowns. We do get the Iron Bark as well. I scatter here because I thought we might be able to kill, but looking back, this scatter wasn't very good. We get a clone onto the druid as well, and the Shaman's used burrow. Now running away from the Shaman a bit and hitting the warrior just to try and cleave a bit more damage, because I see the mana is fairly even. Now doing damage onto the Shaman, kick the Stormkeeper from my feral kicked the Stormkeeper, I stun the druid into a full trap, which doesn't get grounded. We go on the warrior here because the Shaman still has some cooldowns to survive and full hearts on him. Swap to the warrior because he didn't have anything, didn't have a wall either, and we are actually able to land a kill on the warrior here. Shaman is still trying because we are so I'm just trying to take as little damage as possible. I do use my wall just to try and keep us healthy. We get a fear onto the druid and he tremors, but it was too far away, so you have to move it. Get a stun into a trap on the druid, and now we're able to kill the Shaman. This wins us the game. That's all for this video, and I hope you all enjoyed. There will be one more part to this video series where we get Glad as jungle, so stay tuned for that. Let me know what you thought about this video down in the comments. I hope you have a great day. Peace out.